Happy Sunday. I hope you guys are enjoying wildcard weekend. I'm already ahead because we just finished the national championship video. Me, Marco, and Joe there for the college football edition of Bet On. We already had the divisional round in our brains. But this is last call. That sound is VR's phone going off with another bet to get in for him. We're going to get with him right off the top. Then, of course, John Murray from the Westgate Superbook. And my good friend Jeff Petch, the Mad Russian, is sitting on top of the NFL leaderboard over there on WagerTalk.com. So he's going to join us. We're going to go over these 4 NFL games, 3 today, 1 tomorrow. But let's bring in VR first because I know he's over live on the Steam Room, which is free right now. If you want to join him instead of hanging out with us, you can do that. That is why we're here on Wager Talk, because we want to give you an abundance of handicappers and information so that we can make you better bettors. And that is what VR is doing over there every single Sunday on the Steam Room.
Kel, I've spent the last 45 minutes talking about nothing but bet sizing correctly. Honestly, like we're going to go through all the games. I got college basketball, NFL, a ton of props for everybody in there. But there's nothing more important, especially since we have it open for everyone, than setting that up so they have success throughout 2025. So we really went out deep into money management, into the goals for the year, and how, even because a lot of guys aren't going to be with me for all 2025, they're jumping in for the day, and they should. Not everybody's bankroll could afford having, paying for information and line services and all that. That's why there's a ton of free information at Wager Talk as well. But when they're ready to start firing and using it as an investment vehicle, they need the bet size correctly. So we've been spending 40 minutes plus covering nothing but that and answering all those questions that everyone has. So jump on over and bring it. I'm ready to go. That
was a life betting lesson that I had to learn the hard way, VR. I appreciate guys like you being a great mentor to me and saying, hey, guess what?
Thank you.
You're either betting too much on this, you're not betting enough on that. Here's the reality and how you should be managing your bankroll correctly. And you are absolutely right. Then you can live to bet another day if you are not betting like a complete nutter degenerate. I know that's a taboo word for us, but that is exactly what I was doing prior to coming to Wager Talk, chasing losses, et cetera, et cetera. Those are things you do not want to do. So always good information from VR. He gives us some team totals, gives us some college basketball, and then tells us basically some confirmation on what we saw on Wednesday's Bet On It show and says we're going to confirm it here. Also, VR, we're going to touch on the teasers. Lewis in the question box here wants to know if we like the over in the Bills-Broncos game. I'm on the Broncos, VR, plus 8.5 in this game, and I am ecstatic. I feel like I did my job. We saw 7s pop up on the odds logic screen. So I just get to sit back and relax, right?
Yeah, you did. And you're with the sharp money as far as the Denver Broncos. The betting line reflects that, and nothing reflects it more than knowing that there's a lot of Bills money from the recreational bettors, and more importantly, a ton of Bills teasers. So they have a lot of risk on the Bills on the teaser, the Bills on the money line, and even the Bills minus the points. And yet you saw the line reflect Denver money, and that's sharp. That much I can confirm with you. I have Bills on a teaser tied in with the Rams Monday night, and that was actually in half the books that I have. They took it off the second leg of the teaser, and now it's open. I'll just lay it out right here. I closed it again. I like the Rams on Monday night. I know the change of venue should make Minnesota now about a 3-point favorite. I think that makes sense, but I still like the Rams side, and I don't think they were as disrupted as the Chargers were, especially with practice and all of that. So I do like them on Monday night if you have a teaser. But as far as the total, we talked about it yesterday. The team total got bet up on Buffalo. I'm still surprised, Kelly, that there's 28. Juiced at 28, but I would think I was going to see 28.5 because the guys I work with bet over 27 and 27.5 in the Bills total. And obviously the over 46.5 earlier in the week when that one came out. We saw it dip a little bit back yesterday, and I was like, oh, wow, is the under getting steamed, or is that just weather related? But today, that all changed, and we're seeing nothing but over money, not just from the sharps, but from the betting public. The difference is they're going over 48.5. We went over 46.5. And, with 47, 48, not the keyest of numbers, but I would much rather have the over 46.5 right now if you like that over in that Bills-Broncos game. Because, again, you got a rookie quarterback on the road. I like your Denver bet, especially because of that. I think Buffalo's defense is overrated. And I also think seeing that rookie quarterback's not doing all that well, I think that's going to continue with the narrative.
Yeah, the narrative is that I think this Denver Broncos defense is ultimately going to be the differentiating factor. That's why I bet them. As we know, I was dead wrong about Bo Nix. By the way, if you guys have a question for VR, drop it in the chat. We got about 5 more minutes with him because he's got to get back to the steam room. So VR, I'm going to let you take it away here. We've got a few more NFL games, some college basketball today. Not a great slate, but a few games I'm sure you guys fired on.
Yeah. And please, when you get a chance, daily, head on over to WagerTalk.com and check my page. I'm putting a ton of free plays that were premium worthy. Again, going low volume, but low volume doesn't mean I wake up in the morning and say, I can only give out 5 plays today because I'm a low volume guy. Hell no. Then if today there may be 13 positions because I bet 4 or 5 different sports, I'm going to fire because the next few days, I may only have 1 bet, 2 bets. That's what's happened last week. There were nights, college basketball, I had 1 bet. That's how it's going to go down. But if there's value, you got to fire. Now, you know how I feel about the Denver-Buffalo game. I have Buffalo in a teaser. I also have the over in that one at 46.5. Green Bay and the Eagles. This one is puzzling because I would think the Eagles would be much higher favorites by now. But then when I looked in the back end, what did I see? There's actually more recreational bettors right now, ticket size, on the Green Bay Packers. So that's why I don't think you're seeing that 6, you know what I mean, pop up yet on the Philadelphia side. I could tell you one of the guys I work with that moves for a group, they got down at 4.5 earlier in the week on Philadelphia. Hurts was limited in practice. These guys knew that he was passing the concussion protocols already, so he was going to play. And once it became official, the line was going to move. They're right, and that's what happened. So there is sharp money on the Eagles side. And finally, Buccaneers. Here's where you did have a difference of opinion because Tampa opened at 2.5, got steamed to 3, even 3.5, and that's when another group came in, another respected group, and took out the 3.5s on the Washington side. Again, Daniel's solid versus the blitz, and that's what Tampa wants to do. But I think Washington's one of those teams that got lucky throughout the year. I think they had the best success in 4th downs, put up the most points in 4th downs. Like usually that luck tends to wear out. And again, they get a rookie quarterback on the road. So I like Tampa there, but I am a little nervous that you could get them at 3 even money right now, and you could buy them down to 2.5 with value.
Let me chime in there because I also like the Bucs here. I like the Bucs defense. I like what we've seen from Baker Mayfield. And actually, I think they're kind of the dark horse there in the NFC, right? I know a lot of people love the Eagles and a lot of people love the Lions, most importantly, rightfully so. But I think there's something special about this Bucs defense. Everybody's finally starting to get healthy again, and we know that they can be lethal. But that line is really telling. Like 3.5. All right, I'd have probably stayed on the Bucs, but then it drops to 3, and I'm going, wait a minute here, what am I missing?
I keep thinking the same thing, Kel. And who's betting this? Right now, at one of my sharper outs, I could lay 2.5 minus 119. And I laid, I'll tell you now, I laid 3, and I think minus 115 at a book or two, because I thought it was going there as well. That, again, that worries me when I see it, but when it comes to the playoffs, we're talking about a different animal because there's so much public money that overwhelms the sports books that a lot of times that sharp bet may not even be reflected. And when I look at the bets in the back end, like I said, I have access to a book that takes 99% recreational money, and they're not just more on Washington, Cal, but they're taking Washington on the money line. Like the bettors that did take Washington, they're taking them without the points. They took them to, like, I see guys plus 140s, plus 150s. So now it's down to plus 35. I get the plus 150s, 140s were decent bets. But when you see the recreational bettors thinking they don't need the points and they could use the money line instead, I feel more confident in my favorite. So as far as Tampa, that's where I'm on. The books are going to need the under there. That's what is very one-sided. All one-sided action on that under. Why? Oh, and the over, excuse me. None of the betting syndicates that I have access to or anyone that shares their stuff with me has bet that over. That's why you saw it trickle 50, 50 and a half, 51. That's all recreational bettors steaming, betting that over. I don't know. I didn't like it. I actually had a lean on the under. And if I get any confirmation, I'll bet that under, especially at 51 and a half if I could get.
Yeah, that seems super contrarian, of course, because it looks like a game of fireworks, right? We know Washington has such an abysmal defense. You just think that both teams are going to be trading scores. I may have to take a peek at that under as well. VR, anything else on the Monday night game? I know you slightly touched on it. And then talk to me about the Rams and teasers, if that's still something we need to be looking at, if there's still 7.5s on the Bills, would you consider putting them in teasers? I know my sharp book has it 7 minus 115. Talk some teasers for me before we let you go.
Yeah, I would. Right now, I think you can put in a good teaser that is wongable, like we say, and that's with Buffalo and the Rams. The fact that Minnesota didn't go to 3, because yesterday it was juiced. It was 2.5 juiced. And I thought next step 3, we talked about it, so probably won't be teasable. But now I'm looking at 2.5s pretty much flat across the board at minus 110. I would lock it in now because it seems to me there is some sharp money that came in and took the 3s actually on the LA Rams that were there. And I think it makes sense. I mean, again, I don't think they were as affected as the Chargers were. And after seeing the Chargers get blown out and the narrative about, see, look what happens with all the destruction in California and all, I don't think it's a bad spot to take the Rams, and definitely on a teaser up to 8.5. I like the Buffalo side on a teaser, and I do like the Rams side. It's a little scary if all these double-digit big favorites do advance, but it is the wild card round, and you usually have, the best versus the guys that just kind of snuck in. But yeah, that's where I'm standing as far as the NFL. And if you could one leg tease, put one in now, one later, I would do that. If you like the Denver side, the Buffalo side, excuse me, like I do, just to get the win at home. Real quickly, a couple college basketball bets that just came in. 851 Fairfield plus 8, 849 over 135 Rider Niagara, and also Rider 849 in that same game. We did take Washington plus 14.5 against Michigan earlier, but I did see another group take the Michigan at 13. So there's a difference of opinion as far as the Michigan-Washington game goes in the college basketball slate today.
Yeah, I saw that Rider over get hit as well. I had my odds logic screen open. VR, any parting words for our audience before we let you go?
Yeah, head on over to the steam room, coming off a nice 3-0 in the NFL. Nice winning day in MMA, UFC. That's going to have another great year there. And we have our Ohio State 5% future still pending, with Notre Dame sitting there at about 9.5 for us. So we'll talk about that throughout the week, whether we're going to see if we could middle that game. But head on over to the steam room, bring your questions, baby. And thank you again for having me on, Kelly. And best of luck today and the rest of the year to all, baby.
Thank you, VR. We will see you on Wednesday for the divisional round of Bet On It. I just got a text. Our good friend John Murray is waiting in the wings bright and early there on the West Coast at the Westgate Superbook. John Murray, good morning. Are you so excited for another day of refs? Yesterday was great.
All right. Those of you in the steam room, I want to listen to John Murray real quick.
I love it. VR staying on to listen to John Murray. Of course he is. That's the best. John, let's get a little look behind the counter. You sent me a text this morning and said, "Congrats, kid. Your best bet just got hit by a sharp group." Can you confirm who that was or what that was?
Who that was, Kelly, I would never do that. I would never confirm the identity of my customers. Are you kidding me with that question? I'm offended by that question. No, I can't confirm. But they did take Denver plus 8.5 minus 105. Remember, here at the Westgate, we book all these playoff games the day of the game, minus 105 both ways. So
I love that.
We're getting tons of action coming in right now. Right now, we're at Denver plus 7.5 minus 110, which means Buffalo is minus 7.5 even money. So there's money coming back right now on the Bills. The group we really respect, though, took plus 8.5 minus 105, Kelly's Broncos. Bo Nix, Kelly's guy.
Oh,
interesting game.
It is an interesting game.
Look, if Denver wins this game outright, the books are going to just clean up on this game. So we're big time Denver Broncos fans here at the Superbook.
Yeah, I already decided that if Denver wins, I'm going to fly to Baltimore. I'm not doing the show next week. I'm going to Baltimore to watch the game with Ariel Epstein. We're already planning that.
Hold
I
on
do
a
think
second.
Denver.
Wait. Kelly, hold on a second. You understand that if Denver wins, they're going to go to Kansas City, right? The NFL reseeds, kid. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's right.
The NFL,
Sorry, we were caught up in the moment of the Ravens ass kicking last night. She goes, I would love to get the Broncos, not the Bills. See, this is what I get. I don't pay attention to seeds.
Did you hear about those kids that went to the Orange Bowl, the Ohio State fans that went to? You guys are like them. You're gonna fly to Baltimore and you're gonna see the Texans play the Ravens. What are you doing?
Everybody relax. I didn't book a flight. It was a casual conversation.
This is why Kelly has me on the show. I don't really give any information that's pertinent, but I can save her from flying to Baltimore to watch the Texans play the Ravens.
Okay. Why did I think the Chiefs are playing the Texans? Okay, never mind. It is what it is.
The NFL reseeds. The NFL reseeds people because when Houston beat the Chargers yesterday, everybody's asking me, when are you guys going to get up Texans Chiefs?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, first we got to make sure that Baltimore and Buffalo win.
I literally text you the same thing, I think. I literally think I was one of those people that text you, okay, never mind. This show's going off the rails because I didn't look at the playoff bracket. Apparently, correct.
Yes,
all right, let's get into some other sharp bets today. John Murray, a game that nobody's talking about. I haven't seen a single question about it, and I've barely heard anything about it. Packers-Eagles. Looks like both starting quarterbacks are going to be a go today, but nobody likes the Packers, at least not from what I've seen.
Yeah, it really is interesting. Kelly's right, because this is the best game of the 6 wildcard games. Green Bay, Philadelphia is the best matchup of the weekend, and yet there's not a whole lot of conversation about it. There's a lot of Eagles money line. I don't know what's going on in the background of your show, Kelly. There's a lot of Eagles money line action here.
Not the background of my show. I thought somebody was in your office.
Have a big decision on this game.
I thought maybe Rosemary was in your office.
No, that's whatever that noise is on your side or somebody else's side. My door is closed. Okay. It's definitely not me.
Same here. I have no idea, but this wouldn't be last call without technological issues. That's how the show works. We just got to work through it. So talk to me then. Let me back it up now that we got that background noise out. You're going to be rooting for the Packers?
Yeah.
Big
Go
time.
Ahead. I'd say yes. I'd have to say yes. We'll want Green Bay to win the game outright, just because of, again, there's always so much money line parlay action, and the last 2 games of the weekend are both relatively tight spreads. So there's not a ton of money line action to either the Sunday night game or the Monday night game. Most of these big money line parlays, they either end with Philadelphia or they go to Ohio State next Monday night against Notre Dame in the national championship game. So yeah, Green Bay outright would be nice for us. But if Green Bay is going to lose the game, they might as well go on and get blown out, because we do have some money on Green Bay plus 5.5. So if they're going to lose, they might as well just get run out of the gym.
All right, that's fair enough. Questions here from Instagram. They want to know why we don't talk enough totals. So before we get into the last 2 games, any of these totals really sticking out? Do you have sharp groups that specifically only bet totals, or is the NFL just not that type of market where the totals bettors really stick to college basketball and the beatable markets?
Yeah. I'd say we definitely do, but I mean, your listener is not going to love my answer, Kel, because the really sharp total play that I've seen on the wild card weekend was actually yesterday, and it lost. There was very sharp money on the under in the first game. Houston and the Chargers should have gone under. It only went over because of that 86-yard touchdown pass on 3rd and 26 to Ladd McConkey, or else that game stays under, but it didn't. It went over. I haven't seen anything in the 4 remaining games that I would really report as being sharp, to tell you the truth, in terms of the totals. Not really. Just a lot of action on all the overs, especially this first game. This Denver-Buffalo game's got a ton of public money to the over. Book here is going to need the under.
Ooh. All right. Well, I don't know if that bodes well for my Denver Broncos, but I do associate their defense with keeping it close. So possibly with an under there. John Murray, you and I are head to head on Sunday Night Football. We joked about going to this game, and I don't know. I will get to Fort Knott's question here in just 1 minute. I don't know what to make of it. VR and I discussed. I don't know if you caught that. I like the Bucks. I like the Bucks at 3.5. Then it dropped to 3, and my spidey senses went off and said, "Wait a minute, maybe I'm missing something." Now my local sharp book is 2.5 minus 115. You guys are 3 minus 105. Make it make sense to me because I know that you like the Commanders, but at 3.5.
We're plus 3 minus 110 right now. We did move the number today, Kelly. So we've got Tampa Bay minus 3 even money. I don't know what to make of this game. I think it's tough to back a rookie quarterback on the road in a playoff game, especially one that has a bad defense supporting him. All I can tell you is that when we had this game, Washington plus 3 at plus money, we had one of our most respected groups take the Commanders. That's their name now. That bet came in several days ago. I want to say maybe Tuesday was the day that bet came in, but they took plus 3 plus 104. That's why we've been playing around with the juice. We haven't gotten yet to the point where we've moved it to 2.5. I can't say that we definitely will not do that. We don't really want to do that. We'd rather play around with the juice so that we don't get cited if Tampa Bay wins this game by 3. But I mean, we'll see how the day goes. I can't say it's impossible.
That is an interesting take. Let's move on to Monday Night Football, and then we'll answer the question about the Lions. This game is rather perplexing. I feel like the Rams in a teaser makes a lot of sense, right? Obviously, given the emotional toll and then also having to move this game, which is why this line has moved up to, 2.5. But I think after the ass kicking that the Vikings got in Detroit, Sam Darnold looked like he still played for the Jets. It's almost as if it's like a buy low spot. Like, don't buy into what you saw just last week. This Vikings team has superseded expectations all season long. What are we missing here on Monday Night Football?
Can you say ass kicking on the show? You can say ass on the show?
Yes, I said bullshit 4 times on the college football edition to bet on it this morning. This is my show. I'm allowed to do whatever I want. It's kind of like Kelly
You can just say whatever you want. You can say ass. You can say shit. That sucks. What if there's kids listening to the show?
So there better not be. This is a 21 and older show. We only allow 21 and older responsible gamblers to watch this show.
Okay, but what if some kid, his dad is listening to the show and he's in the background? And did Kelly just say ass, Dad? I mean, think about that scenario, and I'll talk about the game. Once the game got moved to Glendale, Arizona, the line just kept going up, and I can tell you it kept going up here at the Westgate because of the bets we took. They were laying 1.5. They were laying 2. They even were laying 2.5. We're not really looking to go to 3 on this game. Right now, we've got it at 2.5 flat. We've got a lot of money on Minnesota in this game. And I agree with Kelly. I think it's a tough spot for the Rams. I don't know exactly the situation with those players, but I would imagine some of them have either been displaced from their homes or they know people that have been displaced from their homes. I felt the same way about the Chargers yesterday, having to go out on the road. And let's also remind everybody of this. Check the rules at the place you bet. If you bet this game before it got moved, you're responsible. You need to be accountable to find out if you still have action. Take responsibility for your own actions. If you bet the game here at the Westgate, which I hope you did, you have action because our tickets are action wherever played. But it's on you to look into it and not be a baby and cry about it afterwards, Kelly.
Yes, check your house rules. As VR mentioned, a couple of my teasers also got canceled, so I just rebet them. What a shocker.
Yeah, and I did. And you know what? That's funny you say that because I had a teaser that I had the same thing. I logged into one of my accounts this morning and I had more money in it than I expected. And it was because I'd had a teaser refunded where the second leg was the Rams. And I guess that shop obviously refunded the game. So know the rules or ask somebody if you don't know the rules. Don't just cry about it like a baby when it's all said and done. You want me to answer questions?
Yeah, one or two questions before we let you go, before we bring in the Mad Russian. Fort Knott wants to know, would John Murray book in all 3 NFC North teams to lose their first playoff game prop, including the Lions next week? So Packers to lose today, Vikings to lose tomorrow, and Lions to lose next week.
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
That's a fun idea. I mean, that'd be kind of tough to figure out. So I guess if that in this guy's scenario, it would probably be the Lions would be playing who next week? Probably the Rams, I guess. The Rams or
Yeah.
potentially Washington.
If the Vikings lose,
Because if
obviously.
Washington, yeah, well, in the scenario where the Eagles win, they're the 2 seed. They'd be at home. Yeah, I guess it would come down to would the Lions be losing next week? I think it's a fun idea. I don't. What's the guy's name? Fortunite. I'm not smart enough to do the math on what the price would be. I got kids that work for me. I got like math nerds. They can do it. I don't know how to do that. I'm not that smart.
John Murray clearly never spent enough time in the risk room calculating futures pricing.
Yeah, only like 12 years. That's it. Just that's all.
Did
Yeah,
you just use a calculator? Is that what it was? You never did it manually in your head?
You could do it. You just figure out the money line on the 2 wildcard games, and then you'd project what you think the Lions would be in their next game. It's a good idea.
Also, I've been asking him to put up a no on the Chiefs since October, and he hasn't done it for me yet either. So
and I did you a favor. The prices come way down to the 1 seed. I did you a favor. Right?
Touche. Yes, you did. I'm going to bet no on the Lions and no on the Chiefs just to be the contrarian asshole that you have always accused me of being. John Murray and I do a show every single Thursday called Kelly and Murray. If you guys have not checked it out, it's basically just like this, except with more banter. John, appreciate you coming on every single Sunday during the lovely NFL season. We'll see you through Super Bowl. And don't forget, guys, right now on Sundays, on game day, they are booking -105 sides. They're at the Westgate Superbook. John, does that also include Monday Night Football? And he already left me. As soon as I said bye, he left me. I don't blame him. This is such a tedious task for the vice president to have to subject themselves to, but that's what happens when you're friends with me and I ask for favors to come on the show for you guys. That's who we're doing this show for. We're taking all your questions. You guys have any more questions, we're going to get to it with the Mad Russian. But first, I have to tell you guys, we reference every single show using an odds screen, right? VR mentioned certain things should be at your disposal. Well, an odds screen is number one because it is going to turn wins into losses into pushes, because getting the best of the number is so important. And this is the fastest odds screen out there. Brand new, just hit the market. We were in beta testing all summer. I sent all of my friends logins and said, here you go. Now I'm going to give you guys your first 30 days free through the Super Bowl, basically is where you guys are getting to right now. oddslogic.com/Kelly in Vegas. All right, let's see what questions are populating here in the chat for my good friend, Jeff Petch, the Mad Russian. You guys know him. He placed in the Circa contest, which is why he has a giant check behind him. And, of course, he won the VSiN green jacket. Jeff Petch, my good friend, what is up on this beautiful Sunday morning?
Oh, Kelly, I mean, thank you for having me. So excited. You bring up the green jacket. I just put on a freshman 20 over the holidays, so the damn thing doesn't even fit me anymore. How embarrassing is that? So I couldn't even put it on for the show.
and
what do you want out of me? Too many Miller Lights, right?
Oh, my God. It is, in fairness, it is 12:30 there here on the East Coast. And Jeff's already pre-planned his Uber to Buffalo Wild Wings. A second the show ends, he's going to John Murray me and just exit out. Andrew Barry's in the question. Does Jalen McMillan get another touchdown today? +160 sounds good with Marshawn locking up Mike Evans today. Jeff's got his Bucs jersey on. Jeff, let's talk about that game and whether you think there's some value here on Jalen McMillan to score a touchdown.
I look at it as an absolute possibility. I mean, he took Godwin's spot now, so he's the main guy there. I think he's averaged over 50-some yards in the last handful of games. I think that they'll look to get him the ball. I mean, they spent the last, how many weeks now trying to get Evans over 1,000, especially this last game here. So I think they'll feed the pill to McMillan and maybe give him a shot to get in the end zone.
I like it. Anything else you really like about this game here? We went back and forth on it the whole show. I don't know if you heard what VR was talking about. I was kind of in a brain pretzel, if you will. I like the Bucks. They were on my long list, -3.5. And then boom, I think it was before bet on Wednesday. It was 3. And I thought, oh, never love for it to go from 3.5 to 3. And now it's 2.5 at some shops. You have Bucks season tickets. I've gone to several games with you. Close proximity for both of us. We both get good intel on this Bucks team. I really like them as the dark horse. I know you grew up in Michigan. You have a little bit of Lions ties, but we've seen this Bucks defense from time to time this year. Now they're finally healthy. I think Baker Mayfield's got good control over that locker room. I think the win during week 18 was prolific enough to show me this team has enough grit to go to the second round. Do you like the Bucks today? Did you play them, or is this a complete stay away for you?
Well, Kelly, I'm going to start with rule number 1. Don't ever bet with your heart, right? So, I mean, again, I bet against Detroit. I bet against Tampa Bay this year, handful of times. But in this spot right here, I'm with you. I like Tampa Bay. I think you got to lean to a veteran quarterback that's got a better running game here. If you look at some stats here since 2002, you look at quarterbacks that are making their first appearance versus quarterbacks that have playoff experience. 34% is the number on that, Kelly. 19, 37, and 1 are those quarterbacks coming in against experienced quarterbacks. Tampa, you mentioned earlier, they are getting healthy. They're getting their tight end Otten back after missing 3 games. They got all-pro free safety Winfield back after missing 4 games. They got their cornerback Dean. He's back after missing last week. So, I mean, they're healthy. They're ready to go. And here's a big thing, I think, more than anything, is that I think Tampa figured out around their bye week, around week 11, how big of a stud, how big of a dog they had in the backfield. That Bucky Irvin, I just told my son the other day, scoop up a couple rookie cards from that guy. He is an absolute stud, man. He is a real deal Holyfield. And since they've really kind of fed him the ball, they're 6-1 after the bye, and they've averaged 183 yards on the ground. So, you look at Washington, they've had the second easiest schedule this year. So, yeah, give me Baker and the boys on this one all day, twice on Sunday.
If you guys have never heard of Jeff, he is exclusively an NFL handicapper here at WagerTalk. He's number 1 over the last 30 days, 12-2 in his last 14 games. And he's been crushing the prime time. So keep an eye on that Sunday night game he just featured. He also crushed his futures bets, including one against me, which I just remembered I have to give him a couple dimes. Jeff, just go ahead and drop me your Venmo right after the show. I was so close, yet so far away with that Patriots over 5 wins, 3 games. Had real opportunities. D. Bass wants to know, speaking of a game that the Patriots should have won against Buffalo, the line move on Denver versus Buffalo. He wants to discuss this game. I gave out Denver plus 8.5 on Wednesday, Jeff, and not to go too deep into it. You guys can watch the videos on social media. I like the better defense plus the points here. I know a rookie quarterback starting on the road, hostile environment is always tough, but I think the Broncos showed us last week they're having fun. They're playing loose. Yes, it was against Kansas City's backups. I am fully aware, but the reality is we saw players play in that game that Peyton ran different offensive schemes because I think he was preparing his team for the playoffs. This is a veteran coach with a young team playing with house money, right? They were projected to win 5.5, 6 games this year. They superseded expectations. They got themselves into the playoff. Tell me what your thoughts are here now that this one's down to pretty much 7.5 across the odds logic screen.
Well, I'll tell you, Kelly, we just talked about don't play it with your heart, and I know you're a diehard Denver fan, but I know you don't do that either. I mean, you understand that, money's money and love is love, and you love that team, and I appreciate that. This is one I really honestly don't have a lot of an opinion on, this game. I will be honest with you, as I was listening to John Murray, I snuck in and took minus 7.5. I don't think the number 7 is as prime as what it used to be with all the analytic BS that's going on. You're down 14 late, you're going for 2. I mean, it's just, so I don't see the 7 prime number as much. So I did take a tiny little bit at minus 7.5. You look at the Bills, they're 7-1 their last 8 against the spread against Denver. Now, I know this is a different Denver team, but then you also look at the Bills at home, they're 8-0. this year, and they averaged 17 points over, which is the best in the NFL at home too as well. So again, don't have a lot here. Call it a small lean, but I'm going to lean a little bit Bills here. Again, didn't give it out to my clients. Don't love it.
And I was muted again. Shocker. What a great day here on Last Call. Jeff, I know this is your first time joining me, but we have everything that could possibly go wrong. Mics, cameras, phones going off, people talking in the background. We have no idea where they're coming. It's just kind of a shit show on the weekends, but that's what I love about it. You just got to get through some of the good times. I can't wait to hear your dog start barking in the background because that's what we need.
Sounds like when you're at the bar around 1:45, last call, kind of a shit show, right?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. All right, Jeff, let's talk about a game. You said that the Broncos did not make your premium card. So what I love is to give some of our guys that are true loyal listeners a free play from your premium selection. So give me your best bet for this weekend that they could get up over at your page so that they can kind of get a look at how you handicap things, get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me give this one out here. We're looking at Monday Night Football, Kel, and you look at this Vikings-Rams game, and I'm gonna go on here for a little bit, but look at Darnold again making his postseason debut. Again, I'll bring up that stat: 2002 quarterbacks making their first playoff appearance versus quarterbacks with experience. 34% right there, 19, 37, and 1. And then you look at the Rams, they've got I feel like arguably they've got a better coach. They definitely, no question, have a better quarterback. They're coming off a 5-game winning streak before they benched all their guys. So essentially this is like a bye here, and when they are healthy, when the Rams have Stafford, Puka, Kupp, and Williams, they're 14-5 when they got those guys in the lineup. And, the Vikings, on the other hand, they just got it done with an emotional beatdown by Detroit on Sunday night with all of America watching. And, Kelly, did you know that teams that played Detroit, and I mentioned this like way early in the season, but
I remember.
They give up an average, and I went back, and again, this is a season-long statistic here. They give up an average of around 26.5 points per game, which is about 3.8 north of the average. And then they're also 3-10 against the spread. And again, these are teams that are playing the next week after they played Detroit the week prior. I think that O-line in Detroit spends a lot of time beating the hell out of you. And I think that defensive line comes back maybe a little bit banged up, a little bit struggling going on there. But again, last but not least in this, and again, I'll pour my heart out to what's going on out in L.A. with the fires. My thoughts and prayers are out there to everyone that's dealing with that situation. I think it's just going to give the Rams extra motivation to play for their fans, to play for their city. If you look at history and a few things that have gone on throughout the years, look at Marshall football when they lost to 37 players and some of their coaches. They won a game that season, never projected not to. Red Sox win the World Series after the marathon bombing. Piazza's home run after 9/11. Astros win after Hurricane Harley in the World Series. So I like the Rams here in this spot. I think they're going to get it done.
Jeff is on the Rams. Jeff, for somebody like me that's a little split on this game, are you a teaser better at all? Would you just say, yeah, Rams are worth a teaser spot? Or you like Rams plus the 125?
I took Rams plus 2.5 is what I did. I don't mind the 125. I've been kind of searching for a 3. It never popped. Obviously, with the venue move, it went from 1.5 to 2.5. I want to touch on the venue move. I don't think it's that big of a deal of this movement to the venue. You can see only like 1 point moved in Vegas because there's going to be 40% Vikings fans there no matter what. So I would lean getting the points here and just taking, the plus 2.5.
All right. I think we've talked about these 4 games ad nauseum. So Jeff is our futures bettor here at WagerTalk, and he's got to get to Buffalo Wild Wings. But I got to know, Jeff, as it stands today, looking at the board, who are we betting to win the Super Bowl?
So, Kel, I do have, and I wanted to offer this to everybody, I do have my NFL Super Bowl winner right now on my page for sale. It's only $15. You can go, it's a real easy site. Go to themadrussian.com and it'll take you right to it. It's $15, and you can use a promo code also as well to get my full season for the NFL. It's 25% off. Use the promo code playoffs, and that'll give you 20% off the entire season. Or if you want to just take the Super Bowl pick, you can use MAD20. MAD20 gets you 20% off that individual pick. So I'm excited about my pick. I still love it. I looked at the odds today. It's almost identical to what it was yesterday. So let's roll.
Awesome. I will be looking at the madrussian.com to see what that is. I do think I'm going to be shopping around for some no's as a contrarian. And hopefully I can get the Ravens to beat the Chiefs in the playoffs just one time so that I can hedge my Super Bowl pick. Personally, I am on the Ravens at 10-1. And yes, in case you missed it, Jeff totally screwed that up and thought I was going to be joining Ariel Epstein in Baltimore this weekend. So joke's on me, but I guess at least I don't have to go to the freezing cold tundra that is Baltimore right now. Jeff, anything you'd like to leave our audience with before we let you go?
We really didn't talk about the Packers and Eagles games. So that was one game we didn't touch on. I'm definitely leaning Eagles in this spot, guys. Guys and gals, sorry. I just feel like if you look at the last year's playoff results and you start second guessing yourself, is Eagles the right side here? But I think everything has drastically changed from last year with the Eagles going in, losing their last 5, going into the playoffs. You look at the Packers, they've lost 3 of 5. Jordan Love's nursing his elbow, throwing arm. Christian Watson out. The Eagles have been on fire, winning 12 of 13. They're full strength with getting Goddard back. I mean, Saquon has been an absolute godsend for them. They're second in NFL in rushing, second in defense. I think that the Eagles, given the Lions' injuries, are the best roster in the league right now. So I think the Eagles will dominate time of possession today and will run away with it in the second half.
Yeah, my good friend CT Bats also agrees with you there on the Eagles. Jeff, what is it currently? 5. It looks like pretty much on the odds screen there. All right, guys, appreciate you hanging out with me. Make sure you guys are following Jeff, the Mad Russian NFL, on all your social channels. Jeff, kudos to a successful first season here at WagerTalk.com. And we'll see you guys next week. Same time, same place, Saturday morning. We'll be back here at 11 a.m. before that college basketball slate tips off.